My name is Suh Chea Hsiao. I work at USC School of Social Work as a Director of Student Affairs.
All right. How has the organization you are affiliated with kind of addressed the needs of military dependents?
So I'm going to speak with my experience with the Los Angeles Unified School District. There's really not much resources available for the students because they're so new, they're so spread out. Our school district is the second largest one in United States. So in terms of collecting data, knowing where the students are located, which school they are, enrolled, it was really hard to get the data. So what I know personally is through our informal data collections. Since we have a Air Force base in San Pedro, and most of the parents work in El Segundo, which is close to LAX, but they live in San Pedro, so their students are enrolled in our local school districts. So that's kind of how I know by working with the principal, office staff. That's kind of how we found out how many students potentially are at each local elementary school. So working with at USC military social work interns and also with Loyola Marymount University, the art therapist intern, we were able to kind of collaborate within university resources and then go into a school and really kind of let them know this is what we can offer using art as interventions, and this is what we're going to build. We want to build the student have their own resiliency, enhance their coping mechanism, able to express about their feelings, not feeling that they have to hold their feeling inside and they cannot talk about it. So that was kind of initial our idea about just kind of build on their coping mechanism and really have a safe place for them to talk about their feelings, being moved around 4 or 5 times, and they're still in elementary school, and they have to kind of deal with parent being deployed or being away for 18 months or more than that, or just constant move, like from one school to another school. I think one of the students that we did a little survey with the student, I think he shared about that he's been moved around for 6 times and he's only 3rd grade. So it's really significant impact in their educational and their family adjustment and all this reintegration in the community and feeling really isolated and lonely. But by the end of the 8 weeks group, he's able to say, I know my friend, I see them on the base, I know I'm not the only one that suffered from all these changes and adjustment. So one thing that really came out of the group is they were able to build the connections with other military children and also feeling they have someone at the school and they can understand where they're coming from and be able to kind of talk about it, not feeling that they have to kind of internalizing everything. So.
Great program, and it sounds like it worked really well.
Right. I mean, it's a small, group, but
with almost 50% of the students being, military dependents, it's a good place to start.
Right. And one thing I think we have to really be sensitive to the parents. A lot of military, personnel, they're afraid to receive services. So when you talk about mental health services, we had to be culturally sensitive because we were tossing the idea, well, should we do the program at the base or should we do it at the school where it's more neutral and parent doesn't feel, well, it's a mental health services. And is it going to be on my records? Am I going to be, kind of that? And then for them to be at the school and they're right there, and then which is part of the school personnel. So it's kind of done in an educational setting, which is not really, label them or they have issues or anything like that. So it's considered like a resiliency building and coping. So we were like taking that into consideration to make sure we're sensitive about the military culture, and then so we can be, able to engage the parent to provide us the consent so they can allow the student to come. So there's a lot of technical part of it that we try to work out with the school, the parents, and the after-school activity, because they usually got picked up by the van from the military base. So to work with the van schedule, can you come pick them up maybe like 4 o'clock versus like 3 o'clock? So those kind of technical, we were able to kind of take that into considerations and have that collaboration with, different partners and stuff like that.
Yeah. What are some of the advantages or challenges that you've encountered with military dependents?
Well, the challenges is getting the parents buy-in. What we did is we invited the parents to information session, and we also invited the children to come so they would feel comfortable with us. So we often cookie punches and food, and then we really educate the parents what our intent are and what are we going to support or what are we going to provide, so they have a chance to ask questions. So I think that was really helpful. Not a lot of parents come, but whoever they come seems to be the leader of that community. So what they had done is they come and they sign a consent, ask questions. They were able to talk to my interns specifically, what are you going to do with my child in the group? And we were able to show that is using art. This is what the art medium we're going to kind of explore with your student, and this is what we're going to do about it. And we're going to keep you updated on a weekly basis. One thing you will know with the student, we'll tell you what activity we had done today, and then you have opportunity to come in when you pick up your student, like around 3:30. Come in and meet with us. We'll tell you what we had done today. And so we want to foster that communication so it's all transparent and we can kind of build that relationship with the parents. So that was kind of work for us. The challenges though, I know after school hours, the student has so many activities, and then you know how close-knit the military moms are. They help each other. I'll pick up your kid, you pick up my kid. They have a rotation going on. So try to come up with a common time and date. It was a challenge. But we were able to get, we got 3 consent, but the first group, there's like 15 kids that showed up. And we weren't prepared for that first group sessions. But eventually we were able to kind of work with a more intimate group and really continue for 8 weeks. And the parents are really supportive. We have outcome measure. We have survey for the parents and the teacher at the beginning. Just kind of try to find out what their baseline, what their concerns are, what they're anticipating possible we can kind of help their child. And then at the end, we also try to get the students, the teacher and the parents feedback about how they feel about the group. So I think that kind of helps us in terms of evaluating, are we effective on what we do? Do we need to consider any other factors? That kind of really helped. And it's interesting, when we were doing the students, the support group for the kids, the parents are waiting outside and they kind of form their own support group outside by their car, which I thought, well, that was a good idea. Maybe we should consider the next time when we run a group is having the parents have a space to kind of network and talk to each other and have that relationship too. Because some of the military families just move into the area, they don't know anyone. So it was kind of helpful for both parents and the students. So, there's challenges, but there's also advantage. I think if we do it again, there is definitely area that we can improve on.
Yeah. What do you consider to be the top priorities in working with military dependents and students?
From a perspective on school district, I think the funding and resources. Education budget has been cut tremendously, so not a lot of elementary school has a counselor, and the counselor has to be specially trained to be sensitive to specific military culture. So I think if we have enough budget or funding to really support those schools that have military family and students, that would be really helpful, because we need staff to be able to coordinate with so many different schools and be able to kind of train the teacher and administrators about what the needs of the military family and their children. I think a lot of time our school and principal and teacher is not aware of the multiple move and how that impacted the students. They will assume all the military kids, they behave, there's no problem, but internally there's so many different issue, emotion that goes on, but it's not being articulated, or there's no behavior issue. So they're good kids, they're put aside. So I think needs to be a lot of training on that part of it. They do go through a lot of changes and adjustment. And then quickly, like the teacher would say, well, there's one specific special needs student and it happened to be military child, and they quickly will label that. And we don't want that to be kind of a stigma or label in terms of for all the military children. So working with the teacher, I think, is the key component, and training and really have a school-wide kind of culture so they can be more sensitive. and maybe doing a lot of that training and really kind of bring them into that military culture. I think that is key component if we have funding for educational opportunity for the teacher and administrators, and also outreach to the parents. I think the parents need a space. Their spouses, so sometimes they had to deal with, it's like a single parenthood when their spouses are deployed and not available. They had to take on father, mother, both role, and that can be very challenging in terms of how to utilize their support system, being new to the community, what is the resources there for them. I think that's really crucial to have someone at the school that understands how to do the resource mapping and how to kind of educate them and really kind of teach them skills, because being moved around for different schools, each unified school has their different curriculum. So from one school district to another school district, the curriculum may look very different. And then how did the student kind of, cope with that, or kind of have a way of kind of connecting the educational foundations? That needs a lot of advocating and really kind of meeting their goals and their educational support. So I think that part also needs someone that can be, within the system that can help them reviewing all the records and be able to have a consistent educational opportunity and equal access to resources and things like that. So I see funding a resource and collaboration, having a counselor, a social worker that's in the school district that can kind of provide that, meet their gap and really connect the gap and resources together, in addition to provide one-on-one or group or family. It's all in our social work contacts that we can do micro, meso, and macro kind of work.
Yeah, and I do think that one of the biggest issues is what you said. Each school teaches differently,
Right.
and so figuring out a way to overcome that.
Right. And that's a lot for the student to kind of try to figure that out on their own. And then the parents might not know, because they don't quite know each district, their culture and their expectation may be different. So they need a lot of education and support to go through all these changes to make sure their child are successful academically.
How do you think the public education has responded to the needs?
I would have to say not very well yet at a unified school district, even though it's a population that we increasingly notice their needs, and there's certain pocket of school that have more predominantly military family and children, and they're just so spread out. We don't have a concentrated area. I was lucky to be at St. Pedro. We know specifically those are the 4 elementary school, middle school, and high school. But a lot of our district, since they're so spread out, it's really hard to identify who they are, what their needs are, and how can we address that. In terms of data, school district, when you do enrollment for students, there's really no checkbox for them to kind of know, oh, I'm military family. So we have problems identify where they are and how can we best support them. So I think if there's a way to provide more systematic kind of change on the enrollment form, so we know where they are, so we can outreach to them, that would be a great start. And then just a lot of training, bringing that sensitivity, what kind of support services is available for them, that would be really helpful as a school that we can respond to the needs of the military families.
Yeah. And the last question, what are you kind of planning, either yourself or the interns here, to get out of the workshop today? I actually went through their 2 trainings, but I wanted to come because I know this is a new program in San Diego Unified School District. I want to hear about their perspective. I want to be able to network and kind of see what's working here and how can we replicate or maybe kind of modify to fit our Unified School District. I also invited 2 of the interns interning with School District L Unified to come so they would have a chance to hear the training, be able to get the resources, the toolkits, be able to meet, different school district personnel, and so they can have an idea while they're still having about 6 more months to go, what can we do to kind of write maybe a grant or proposal, maybe really modify our program to be able to kind of be, more efficient and impact more students if we could. So my goal today is really networking and getting resources and really learning what's new out there so we can improve whatever we have and continue our work with military family and children.